What is up everyone, and welcome to another look at F124. We've just, literally as I'm recording this, about 10 minutes ago, had the first look at the new career mode in Formula 1 24, and I am very much looking forward to talking about this. My initial thoughts on this is that this trailer here, which if you haven't seen it, definitely go and check that out. I'll leave a link in the description, as I have done in the last two videos as well. But if you haven't seen this, definitely go and check it out, because I think that this looks really good, and we can dive into it a bit more as to how I'm feeling about this and my sort of more nuanced thoughts on it. But yeah, as always, let's get into the article they've published here. So, be one of the 20 and define your legacy in F124. F124 delivers Codemasters' most significant upgrade to career mode since 2016. Now with more superlatives than ever. I feel like they do that all the time. You know, it's like most realistic, most significant, brand new, completely different to how it's been before. They can't help themselves. They can't help themselves. They're like, oh man, we have to... this is like a really subjective thing, right? I'd argue that my team is probably a little bit more significant than this. But if they're defining career mode as specifically driver career, then I will allow them to get away with saying this. So, welcome to the Career Mode Deep Dive for F124, the official game of the 2024 FIA Formula 1 World Championship. We're excited to show you what our team has been hard at work with the most significant upgrade to career mode since 2016. You can compete as one of the 20 drivers from the 2024 season and define their legacy, with even more ways to connect across F1 and F2 when F124 released on May 31st. Okay, yeah, they open with this blurb every single time, it's fine. So here we go. First thing, driver career reimagined. We've evolved our approach to driver career in F124, introducing a single player experience that mirrors the challenges drivers face in the real F1 paddock. The revamped driver career mode allows you to live the career of a real driver in more ways than one. For the first time, you can take the title fight through the eyes of one of the 20 stars of the current F1 season, or step into the shoes of up-and-coming talent in F2. If that's not your style, why not build upon the legacy of an iconic driver from F1's history, such as Ayrton Senna or Michael Schumacher, and show the current generation of drivers why you're one of the greats. If you prefer to forge your own legacy, you can create a custom character and start as an F1 or F2 rookie. Okay, well, this is interesting, isn't it? Because we'll go into this in more detail because it becomes more relevant later on. But yeah, for the first time, if you're not the way inclined that you have been previously, perhaps, where you're like, oh, I don't really know what I want to achieve with a career mode where I create my own driver, it just seems very daunting or something like that, you can now become a driver from F1 or F2, or even a My Team icon, which I guess they're just changing the name of those now to icons rather than My Team icons. And you can go for someone through history, or of course they've got a few other icons who are from sort of more recent history. Like I know they've got Webber in there and Kobayashi, Maldonado. Maybe you could do a Maldonado career. You do a Maldonado career and your goal is to try and not finish as many races as possible. That would cause as much carnage as possible before getting sacked. That would be an interesting concept for a career mode that I'm sure someone has already come up with out there. And if they haven't, then goodness me, that is the first thing we are doing as soon as this game comes out. Right, yeah. So all in all, I think this is a cool change. I think, it's just a small thing, just letting you be able to play as the drivers in career mode now. But I figure, why not? And like I said, I'm not going to talk about this too much right now because I think it becomes more relevant later on with the introduction of another new feature, which we'll talk about when we get to it. So here's a big change: grow recognition. In F1 24, our new career mode is powered by the driver recognition system, which gives more weight to every decision you make on and off the track. You'll be tasked with specific goals during race weekends, contract targets, and season-long specific goals. These feed into the driver recognition system and allow you to build a more meaningful and personalized standing within the paddock. I like all of this, right? Because at the moment, it's very, very like, you don't really have much going for you in driver career at the moment, because they've kind of, over the years, they say this is their biggest change since 2016. Where do they say that? Right here. Biggest change since 2016. But here's the thing. Over the years since 2016, they've slowly just been gutting driver career specifically more and more and more. You know, we used to have all the, you know, if you've been playing the game for a long time, you'll remember like the interviews and sportsmanship versus showmanship and all that kind of thing. And there used to be like, you know, targets finish in this position and stuff like that. And they've kind of slowly just gutted the career mode of that more and more and more, to the point now where they've effectively just added it back in, but also like more than before. Because the only thing I think that's still in driver career like that, I don't really play much driver career because I'm so focused on my team in these last few years since they introduced it to the game. The only thing I'm aware of is when you do the contract negotiations with the team at the moment, they have a thing that you have to be a certain acclaim level or something like that for them to consider you to be part of their team. So it's basically just you have to drive in the game for a certain period of time before you reach that acclaim level, which I've always thought was somewhat of a flawed system personally. So I like the idea of having this, as long as they're, I mean, they say specific, right? So these are tailored things based on which team you're driving for, where they are in the performance index. If this is intelligent, then this has a real opportunity to make the career mode way more fun than before. So yeah, I'm actually quite excited about this. Achieving the best drive is critical to winning in Formula 1. Your performance on track and how you're achieving the goals you set yourself will all impact your bargaining power in the marketplace. As your recognition grows, working with your agent, you'll engage in secret contract meetings with other teams to give yourself the opportunity to move to a more competitive team. So this is something that's also quite interesting. It's basically saying, you know, you can put yourself in the shop window now, and then you can get yourself into these secret meetings, which from the trailer at least look a little bit like in FIFA when you do like contract negotiations with a new player or something like that. When you're looking to sign a new player, it looks a little bit like that, which I guess, you know, makes sense. Both of them are now affiliated with EA, so, you know, you would expect that maybe it becomes a bit more FIFA-esque in some ways, just as long as it doesn't become FIFA-esque in other ways, which some could argue it already hasn't. But, you know, we won't go down that road right now. Entering into talks with another team brings an element of risk if your current team finds out, and the risk of your current team finding out increases the longer the negotiation talks go on. Do you take the risk of upsetting your current team to go after a drive at your dream team, or do you play it safe and stay where you are? Okay, this is cool. I don't think this was really that discussed in the video, or if so, I didn't really... I wasn't really aware of this at the time, but this is a cool thing that I really like. That's like you basically, I assume the way that this will pan out is that every time you have a secret meeting with another team, the sort of chance, let's say initially it's like there's a 10% chance that it gets leaked and your team finds out or something like that. And then if you do another meeting, it goes up to 20% and then 30% and so on and so forth. I don't know how it will work in reality, and maybe it will be a thing that's like the more experienced you get throughout the career mode, the less the percentage goes up or something like that. I think that could be a good feature if that's in there. Obviously, this is just me sort of projecting what I would like to exist, but I still think that this is quite a cool system. And yeah, I mean, overall, I think it just adds to the storylines that you're creating in your game, creates a bit more sort of drama, a bit more tension, which I think could be really cool. If you would like to start your career on F2 and work your way up to F1, you can pick an academy team that will influence the opportunities you will get in F1. You can seek opportunities with different teams, but this could risk impacting your current F2 relationships, as staying loyal will help build a strong working relationship and provide rewards in the long term. The decision is yours. So they have a similar system in F2 as well to in F1, I guess, where you can do these sort of, you can kind of break loyalty to the academy that you've been coming up with so far, but like famously, of course, Oscar Piastri did back in 2022 when Alpine, who was the academy that he drove with the entire time during his junior career, they said, we're going to sign Oscar Piastri, and he said, no, you ain't, and went to McLaren instead, because he was obviously having these secret discussions with McLaren the entire time. And I guess they're kind of trying to create a system by where you can do a Piastri if you're affiliated with an academy team at the time that looks like it might be good, and then maybe you can keep an eye on how that team is developing over the course of the year. And if suddenly over the course of the year it looks like they're not going to be so good, or they're kind of messing you around and not really signing you onto a contract or something like that, maybe it gives you an opportunity to kind of jump ship to another team, I suppose. One thing I will say about this is that if this is being implemented and they're putting a bit more emphasis on F2 than before, for the love of God, please fix the existing issues with F2. I did an F2 driver career mode on my Twitch over the course of this year. I meant to do more eventually getting into F1, but unfortunately because I took a bit of a hiatus from streaming, it didn't really pan out. But we've done 11 race weekends, sprint and feature, 100% distance over the course of this year's game cycle, right? And the game has not taken any steps to improve the issues with that over the course of the years. There's so many issues with tire allocations, and sometimes the tire wear just straight up glitches. I had a race which ended after 15 laps when it was supposed to be 42 because of red flags. There's just so many issues with F2 at the moment that I really sincerely hope that they have ironed these out if they're going to be placing more emphasis on F2, because I don't want it to be a case of what happened to me in F1 2021, for example, when I tried to do a driver career on this channel, or what happened to me in this year's game on my Twitch save as well, which is that I kind of got burnt out on doing the F2 before I actually made it into Formula One, because it was so weird and broken and buggy and strange. It just they need to make sure they've ironed out those glitches with Formula 2 before they can even think about introducing this. Let's move on though. So research and development. Not only does your reputation affect your future prospects in F1 24, but it also ties into the updated research and development system. As your reputation grows, you will see that the team is more motivated to design and build new parts. As a result, you will find that upgrades are produced far quicker and with a smaller chance of the parts failing. You will also get the opportunity to build secret upgrades throughout the season, aiding you in building a budding championship-winning team and staying ahead of the grid. So, by secret upgrades, I saw this in the video, and I wasn't sure exactly what this meant, but my interpretation of this based on what they've written here is that your team are aware of these upgrades, but they're sort of exclusive to the team, and the other teams maybe aren't aware of it, and that allows you to gain sort of like a, not unfair advantage, I suppose, but like an unrealized advantage compared to the other teams or something like that. Overall, this system, this is fine, this is cool. I think the system they had in place before with sort of department morale based on these events they were doing, it kind of always, I felt, ended up harming you more than it ended up helping you, because quite often these events would end up being like, your head of aero has tweeted something racist. Do you apologize or do you fire them? And either way, it's going to negatively impact your team. And I don't know. I was never a huge fan of those kinds of events, because it kind of just seemed a bit strange. You know what I mean? It didn't really seem like it had much benefit apart from just adding a certain degree of quote unquote realism or something like that. But I mean, not every team has employees that are constantly getting themselves into hot water. There is one on the grid at the moment that seems to be pretty good at that at the moment, but this is neither the time nor place to discuss that. So we will move on to the next thing. Each driver is given a pool of resource points to build the best car on the grid, opening up choices for you to make. Do you work with your teammate and focus developments on one particular aspect of the car, or spread your resource points for slower but more balanced development? This is entirely up to you. This is cool. I think this is awesome, So now you've got another driver on the team that is sort of impacting the way that the resource upgrades are going as well. Because obviously in my team, it's only you. And I think the way it works in driver career, I could be wrong. I know the way it works in two-player career is each team has a number one driver and they control the R&D. I don't know in F2, sorry, not in F2, in single-player driver career, if it's that you're just in control of it no matter what, like in my team, or if it's they have a number one, number two driver system in that as well. But I mean, this is cool. They showed an example of it where someone was doing a Hulkenberg career mode and they were splitting equally with K-Mag, and K-Mag was investing in certain upgrades and Hulkenberg was investing in certain upgrades. I wonder if your reputation will dictate based on each specific driver. So say, for example, I'm partnered with Hulkenberg at Haas, for example, and he's got a higher reputation than me because obviously, he's been in Formula One for 15 years at this point almost. So, he tries to do an engine upgrade or something like that, and the team's like, yes, hello, Nico Hulkenberg, we love you very much and we would never do anything to disappoint you. And then I say, how about this, how about we upgrade our gearbox durability? And the team's like, who even are you? What are you asking for? That would be quite interesting, actually, I think, if they do implement something like that. Once you complete a full season, you will. Okay, this is something actually. When I saw the video, I was so excited about. Probably the thing I'm most excited about in this entire article. Once you complete a full season, you will encounter new challenges through season modifiers. These season-long effects range from high inflation, meaning upgrades are more expensive, or you could run into chip shortages, which limit you to only one upgrade per month. On top of this, some modifiers restrict you to aero-only and chassis-only upgrades, making each upgrade vital and ensuring that no 2 seasons will feel the same. So here's my question. I was wondering when I saw this in the gameplay video, the deep dive video. Is this that you can choose the modifiers, or they are randomly allocated and you can kind of, maybe there'll be a setting at the thing saying, you know, I want modifiers turned on or I want them turned off, and then it randomly allocates them at the start of the season or something like that. I think either way, I'll be happy with this because I absolutely will play with these because, you know, at the moment, obviously, like they say, this whole no 2 seasons will feel the same thing. That could honestly make such a massive difference, especially if you're coming off the back of a regulation change or something like that, and you come straight into a season and it's like, yeah, now every upgrade you're trying to do off the back of this regulation change costs 3 times as much as it did before. That could actually make a huge, significant difference to the way that the career mode goes compared to before. This might be the way. Because the sliders that they introduced before, not the way. Once you get to Season 3, Season 4, and you've got a fully maxed out car, you will never lose that fully maxed out car unless you deliberately do it. Unless you deliberately do like some YouTubers do, where they just sack off their entire development during a regulation change and just say, yeah, I'm going to go back to being an absolutely terrible car for a bit so we can try and work our way up the field again. They basically have to engineer some sort of semblance of the regulation change actually having an effect on them, because it won't happen. But if this actually makes it work, this would be probably the most welcome change out of everything we've just read so far. Because, you know, look, I've just finished a 6th season of My Team career mode, right? And I'm about to start a 7th one. I'm literally about to start recording it tomorrow morning, right? Which will be this morning on the day this video comes out. But anyway, yeah, I'm literally like moments away from starting a 7th season, and you know, we had a really interesting first few seasons, right, where we were slowly building our way up, and it's like now we're finally getting to the point where we're getting podiums and wins, and you know, I'm starting to look like I might be a contender for the Drivers' Championship. And then Season 4 we had the heartbreak of not winning it, and then the last couple of seasons it's been like, right, now we have the fastest car on the grid, now I'm really good, now I'm going to beat everyone, now I'm going to win the championship with 3 races to go. Now I have to constantly mess around with the difficulty to try and make it work for me, because you know, some tracks 98 difficulty for me is like, you know, I'm 5 seconds a lap faster than everyone else, and then that's an exaggeration, and then other circuits I'm significantly slower or something like that. But if this can somehow create some sort of semblance of balance, then goodness me, we will be cooking. We will be cooking hard. Right, and then the next thing, driver accolades. Accolades are brand new to F124 and add a new unique twist to the career mode. These are long-term milestones for you to complete and tie to each driver based on their real-world achievements in the sport. Starting the season as a custom driver will give you a blank slate, and you will acquire accolades as you play through the career mode, such as one for simply completing your first practice session. But if you want to take on the career mode as one of the pros, your goals will be based on their real-life achievements. As Lewis Hamilton, you'll be challenged to go for glory and win his 8th world title, whereas if you jump into the shoes of Max Verstappen, your goal will be to defend your title as the reigning champion. These season-long goals aren't just tied to the current grid. Playing as icons will present you with unique challenges to build on their legendary careers. Whoever you choose to race as throughout your progression, throughout your career, that's a very strangely worded sentence, sorry. Throughout your progression through your career, you'll earn accolades based on your performances, such as the number of race starts, point finishes, wins, podiums, and more. Yeah, I mean, look, this looks pretty cool. A nice way to keep track of sort of statistics and things like that, because the current screen is a bit confusing and a bit limited perhaps. And it also, one thing I really hope you'll be able to do is view other drivers' accolades. For example, you know, when I say this is Esteban Ocon's 2nd win in Formula 1, I would like to just be able to quickly go to his profile and view his accolades and confirm this is actually true, and I haven't forgotten about a random race that happened at one point that he won, you know, back in season 3 or something like that, when we're in season 6 or something like that, because that happened recently, obviously, in that Mexico race. If you've not seen that video, then I mean, it's been out for a week, so I feel like that's fair game at this point. But yeah, if you haven't if you haven't got the opportunity to actually check these facts without going through this really, you know, rigorous process of going to this, you know, season results screen and flicking back through and finding Esteban Ocon on the list and navigating that massive matrix of results, if you can just do it like that, then that would be absolutely ideal, I think. So yeah, I hope you'll be able to do that. It might make making an icon career mode kind of interesting as well, especially if you choose someone who kind of didn't leave Formula One because of their own accord, someone who could potentially still be in F1. Maybe Pastor Maldonado, not the most fantastic example of that, but I'm trying to think if there's anyone in there. Rosberg is a classic example of this, right? Because Rosberg is still, I would say, young enough. If Hamilton's young enough, then Rosberg is also still young enough. He could conceivably still be in Formula One. So you could do a what if Rosberg or Button or someone like that came back to Formula One today or something like that. That could be actually quite kind of an interesting concept to do, I think. And you'd be able to get all their career stats when you go in there as well. So I think, you know, that's again, it's just a small thing, but it's actually really quite cool, I think. And again, will just make it much easier to keep track of the storylines that you're creating and stuff like that. So there's just a few more things that aren't particularly relevant to me as someone who mostly be doing single player career, but we'll have a look at this. If playing with your friend is more your style, then we've got you covered. All of the new single player features are present in 2-player career mode, which you can play through as one of the current drivers, an icon, or your own custom driver. These changes offer an entirely different experience to 2-player career. Perhaps you'll use the rework contract system to your advantage, or attend secret meetings without your friend knowing. There are lots of storylines waiting to be uncovered. This could be cool. Imagine you did a 2-player career mode with your mate and you do a secret meeting with their team to knock them out of their team. This would be the most absolute unbelievable shithousery that you have ever seen in a Formula One game. If you can do that, if you can get your friend kicked out of the team that they drive for and you start driving there instead, I actually can't imagine the impact that this is going to have on friendships. This will be unbelievable. Dare I say, biblical. I don't know. Is that trademarked? Am I allowed to say that? I've said it anyway. And then finally, the last thing, Challenge Career, a brand new way to experience career for F1 24, featuring shorter, bite-sized scenarios that change throughout the year. In Challenge Career, you're put into the shoes of an existing driver and team with events that are identical for all players. Completing them will earn you points and a spot on the global leaderboard. At the end of the multi-week season, the player with the most points will be crowned the champion of Challenge Career. Future Challenge Careers will be determined by player voting and real driver influences, which will affect the choice of driver and circuits you will have to master. Seems like a cool feature, you know. Do Lando Norris, do a bunch of different tracks and kind of create these sort of mini narratives. I will probably give this a go. If it seems like it's fun, then we'll probably continue doing it throughout the year. If it's not fun, then we probably won't, and we'll see, you know, how this ends up being. But and yeah, next up, first look at gameplay. The next one is on Monday, I believe. There's a first look at gameplay, which I believe is, I guess, just like a sort of like showing gameplay footage, that kind of thing, and actually kind of going deep into that. I don't know if I'll make a video on this. Let me know if you guys are interested in that, because we've already obviously done a video on the handling. I've done a video now on the career mode as well. So I think it largely will depend on whether I think there's enough in that video to make a video on, right? Because if it's just, yeah, the handling looks cool, like I said it did in the previous video, this video is now confirmed that the handling looks cool, or this video is now confirmed that the career mode changes look good, like I said I thought they were, I probably won't make a video on that, because you can probably infer that yourself. I don't think you need me to come on here for 2 minutes and say, yeah, it's exactly as I thought it was going to be, nice. Or, you know, but if it's like drastically different, or there's something important, then maybe I'll make another video of that. But on the whole, as we approach the end of this video, as we get to the end of this article, very excited. Lots of cool new changes. We'll summarize over them quickly, how I'm feeling about them. Recognition system, fairly neutral about this, but I think, you know, it could be quite you know, it's nice to just have a bit of a change every now and again. And I think the whole sort of secret negotiations and kind of the element of risk added to that will create some interesting storylines. The whole research and development changes overall, especially the modifiers, I'm very excited for. The accolades system, like I said, I think that this will be far more relevant for if you do a career mode as an existing driver. I think you could create some really interesting storylines based on this system that way. And then 2-player career, like I said, I mean, maybe we'll do a 2-player career this year. If I can find someone who I want to do it with, then we'll maybe think about giving it a go. Would you guys be interested in seeing me do a 2-player career? I think it'd be a very different style of video to the ones that you're probably used to in my team career mode, because obviously we'd be doing the voice recording off the cuff rather than the voiceover thing that you're used to me doing for career mode. But yeah, that could be interesting. And challenge career as well could be cool. I don't know if you comment down below if you'd be interested in me doing videos on that as well, because this is something that I'll probably give a go. I definitely don't want to just become someone who only does 200 career mode races every year or something like that. As fun as I find it, don't get me wrong, it would be nice to sort of diversify my content, especially if I want to do a full year's worth of videos. We might have to branch out into some of these different modes here and there. And yeah, I think that could be something interesting that we could experiment with for this year, just something a little bit different. But yeah, on the whole, I'm really excited for all of these new features. I think it's a really welcome change. They're finally giving driver career a bit of love, finally giving career mode some love just generally, because let's face it, my team hasn't had any changes in pretty much since they brought it out either. And overall, yeah, I think this is just going to be a really cool welcome change to career mode. Will certainly get me playing enthusiastically for a little while. I know a lot of people are saying like, there's still so many features missing that we've asked for, and I'm sure the thing is, I wish that there was greater transparency. That's the thing I care about more than actually any of these features that people are asking for. The thing I'm concerned about is the lack of transparency. I want them to say, if they can't implement the features that people are asking for, why can't they implement them? What challenges are they facing that means they can't implement them? Why is it that we can't have classic tracks? What challenges are they facing that means that they can't implement classic tracks? If it's budget restrictions, just say it's budget restrictions. We're under no illusions. There were those reports that came out years ago that to do a laser scan of a track costs $1 million or something like that. I get that they don't just want to be splurging that for a small subsection of people who care enough to race Turkey in career mode or something like that. I get that might be part of the reason why, but ultimately, if that is the reason, just say that's the reason. You don't need to. I don't understand why they keep everything firmly under lock and key. Why haven't they implemented better customization features? If there's a reason for that, I can't think of one off the top of my head why there would be, but if there's a reason for that, say what that reason is. Is it a licensing thing or something like that? Is it because they can't run the risk of people designing their own sort of like official in the game liveries that look like existing Formula 1 car liveries or something like that? Because people already still try and do that. So I don't really get what the reasoning for that is. But like all these things, if there's a reason why they can't do something, just say why. Anyway, look, we've talked about this long enough. Somehow I've actually talked about a 5-minute video for 30 minutes. So no doubt if some people get wind of this, they're going to be down in the comments like, bro made a 30-minute video for a 5-minute teaser that says nothing, skull emoji, whatever people comment these days. I don't know. But yeah, overall, like I said, really excited for this, and definitely will be doing driver career based on all the stuff we've been seeing. I was pretty confident I was going to do it anyway, but now I can say with absolute certainty, next year's career mode, driver career all the way. If there's any teams you'd like to see me race in, let me know that kind of thing down in the comments below as well. Any particular storylines you're excited for, I'd love to hear it. And just generally speaking, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on these career mode updates? Do you share my enthusiasm, or are you one of those naysayers that's like, they haven't gone far enough, this is way too little, £80 DLC, whatever, you know, all this stuff that you see in the replies to them on social media and stuff like that. You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts, regardless whether you agree with me or not. Are you going to get the game now based on this, or are you gonna wait it out till next year's game or beyond that point? You know, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. And otherwise, that is going to be it for this video. So if you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.